So the brief is very, very simple. It's got to be ultra lightweight, it's got to be strong, and it's got to be attractive. And getting all those three components into one brief and coming out with a product that does meet those needs is quite difficult. But that's our aim, that's our ambition. And to do that, we're going to pop over to the laser cutter now and cut out the next section for this. And then we'll pop over to the van, do a trial fit on this prototype, and have a rethink from there. How we're going to put these drawers in, I don't know. So that's how I made the first prototype. I used a box joint jig and used box joints to make it. And if you want to see how I made the box joint jig, I'll leave a link above and below so you can have a look at that. I'm going to switch processes now. I'm going to use a laser cutter because with the box joint jig, on these very, very thin plies with this top veneer, it's extremely thin, I'm getting a lot of chip out. So to avoid that, I'm going to switch to the laser cutter, and here's how. This is a software package called 2D Design, and I've drawn it out on there to scale, and I'm going to export it as a DSX file to the laser cutter, and we'll cut that out and I'll show you what the issues are. My only issue with the laser cutter is it does leave a bit of a sooty edge. After all, it is using a laser to cut through the wood. However, it's quick. Using the laser cutter does produce a very accurate box joint, but it's only 5mm thick, the material, or 3/16. So it's still flexing, it's still moving, and it's not really appropriate yet as a cabinet. So what I'm going to do to stiffen the structure up is add some framing at the top and bottom and wherever the shelves go. So this is the bottom drawer and this is the top drawer, and they go together. So this will sit on the front here like that with the bottom drawer underneath. The reason for this, because around about here is the bulkhead, and there's a huge space underneath the bulkhead that I want to utilise, hence the odd shape, but I do want to keep the bulkhead. So it does mean if I use this rail system, I am going to lose a lot of space inside. I only have that much left. So I'm going to try something different. I'm going to use 2 sheets of plywood on top and 2 on the bottom, and they have a large hole in the middle, but they will form a rebate to this edge and over the top. So it's an experiment, so we'll try it, and it might be, if this works, that we go back to the prototype and remake that in the same fashion. But let's have a look and try it. and to show you just how bendy this ply is. There you go. It's all over the place. Okay. The thinner you go, the more likely this is to happen. So I really do need a joint that will pull these sides together, straighten it up, and produce some rigidity within the structure. Okay. Let's glue another one up. This is a favourite part of any of my builds. I like to take the clamps off at last. What I've made has taken form. Let's see how much load these cabinets can take. Starting to break. I can hear some creaking. Not bad. So I weigh 75 kilos. And I don't think these cabinets are going to be holding 75 kilos. So we do some more testing. Lateral tests as if the van is moving, or lozenging, or swaying. A bit out of breath. So it came up quite well. I'm going to have to redesign that front corner, see if I can add a little bit more strength to that edge to make sure it can take the load. The back corners are really, really strong. I'm really pleased with those. They're not broken. It is a ply that is broken, and the glue joints actually themselves, actually I think they perform quite well. I weigh 75 kilos, so I'm not going to take that much load on the van, but I did want to demonstrate that using very thin ply and accurate joints can produce a very strong cabinet. Now I'm going to go back and make the top units, try them in the van, and then rethink how I'm going to attach the drawers and the draw fronts to this carcass. So we're going to weigh them now, just to see how much they do weigh and what the savings are compared to a normal cabinet. So that's coming in at 2.4 kilos, which is incredibly light, isn't it? So this is definitely the hardest part, is when you bring them together, so the top part and that bottom part, because the wood is bowed, it will flex, it's difficult to hold it in place, and putting the clamp on, my clamps are quite heavy, I just can't get the clamping pressure on there to pull the joint in. So this is the any advice you guys can give me on this one would be appreciated, because it's such thin ply. I'll show you how I do it at the moment. So a bit wobbly. Hopefully the lid, when we glue this on, will stiffen up. So what we've done with the lid is make it in two parts. So you have a base layer and then a top layer in two pieces of plywood. And that forms a rebate, and that should pop in there like that. So we're going to glue that on now. So in the last video I was asked, why have you removed that section in the lids and the bottom? And it's merely there to reduce weight, to save as much weight as possible. All the gluing surfaces around the edge will provide the strength. I don't need the strength in the middle. And I was also asked, why have you done a curve on this one and a 90-degree square on the last one? And the reason for that, we found that if you've got a square, the point it's going to fracture is just there, and it will fracture quite quickly. However, if you've got a curve, you can spread the load along that longer surface, and it will last a lot longer before it does tear in shear. So I've just taken this out of the clamps. I'm going to clean everything up, remove all the excess wood, get it as light as possible, and then we're going to test it in position. So the next job will be to consider how to attach the runners. So the material is so thin, I can't see how a screw could be used or a bolt. These will be in series, so there'll be 3 in a row. So any suggestions you have of how I can attach the runner, please do leave a comment below, and I will read them and take on board your advice. So here we go.
マミは左。どっち？
Can you put your hands up?
これで取って。